Here at Northridge in Accra. My name is Kenneth. Jesse, here stories making headlines tonight. First day of protest by the Ghana Union of Traders Association against high cost of doing business characterized by closure of shops hits hard, but government and other traders have said the measure isn't the way to go. Phase 1 of demolition exercise at the Sakomono Ramsar site ends successfully despite an initial hiccup. Supreme Court Judge nominee Justice Samuel Asiedu proposes pro bono services by lawyers be made compulsory requirement for the renewal of licenses of lawyers at the Ghana Bar Association. And later on the international front, Tuela Breverman resigns as UK Home Secretary barely a week after the Finance Minister Kwesi Kwarteng was sacked. Details are up shortly. Don't go anywhere. Hello again. Customers who wanted to purchase items at the Makola market were disappointed as shops were closed. My colleague Elvis Andor visited the business hub earlier and came through with the following report.
Makola unusually appears empty as protest by the Ghana Union of Traders Association took full effect. Shops were locked up and traders absent. Prospective buyers had a difficult time to locate alternative sale points.
Yes, Yamabuay, the Afia to petrol. In some Obia Canada, Obia Canada. And then Wednesday, Pank, our banker, Dakasia Pan, and then market day. Bandaosha, Yabefa, Esmadiana, they are to Tobia to the shop.
Headquarters were also affected as there was no demand for their service.
To see Uba Unye Jumaya, Obetin Sa, Obian Toshe, Namamaso, almost a martotum. A Jumano cried the May.
She's not been able to make any money or sales today because shops have been closed and buyers who are expected to come and buy for them to help them with their luggage are nowhere to be found.
Victoria Ejewa and Kwesi Boateng, both shop owners, gave reasons for joining the protest.
Ghana kasa ho abeji adwuma nyina ye Lebanese fonie, Indian fonie, Chinese fonie, Egypt for kra beka ho, Turkey for beka ho. Omo nyina omo profit ni nyina obie $60 no de kɔ ne krom. O invest wo Ghana. Obe trade no nya ne profit a, no asesa no de kɔ. Na Ghana ni onu di CDC be bɔ ne ho abra wa ha no. CDC ni kra wo nya bipo. No de akɔ akɔgye dollar.
Jumefo bebre oba won say aha nyina edin obi ani anom ba ebetu omo card e ba ha dwen say da obeye na bia obetima akira ban ne bibi tinta sukọ kwa akira ban na ma ban na hu say wani abre no o say ye na ye buto ye yam sin say ubejai na ye dia ban ne be na ade ne kwa na ekoso na affect goods and services because na o diska kodwomu a kakra bi no ato for first no we dey almost be £20,000 kokroma utimi tonyo ma bebre na dey aba na we dey kwa kakra bi na dey aba.
The protest by Guta demands government to urgently address the pressing demand, the depreciating cedi, high interest rate and inflation.
So some members of the Ghana Union of Traders Association are finding it difficult to keep their shops closed despite a 5-day protest announced by the association over high taxes, amongst others. Metro News' Henry Kwesibedi reports several shops at Abosokai were today opened for business because they cannot disappoint their customers.
Pressure continues to mount on government to fix Ghana's ailing economy to address the slump of the Ghana cedi and the rising inflation. Members of the Ghana Union of Traders Association have begun a protest against the rising cost of doing business by closing down their shops. But here today, some of its members think otherwise and have opened their shops.
busy on my money. Almost $7. I'm sorry. You have to shop for 2,000. You have to go for 2 goodies. Never say send $1 and bed. Massa $1 and because you lose $1 and you can money.
Kwesi Appiah has been dealing in spare parts for over 3 decades. He claims this isn't the first time aggrieved shop owners at Abossey-Okai are protesting the worsening economic situation in the country. He insists the 5-day exercise by Guta will be one in futility as previous protests.
Massa, all the patch na bra, Babana do one be almost. Ubisa over 80-90%. And him say 12 to me for so be edition. Cause Osha from top to down. Obiaba ope bibiata no ko be no yama. Obiaba ope biata ko be yama. What to storm no? Unto storm. What I say? Unto storm. What I say? And so what catch them say what to storm. Me one sense of that say what to storm. And to storm.
Kwesi speaks for the several other shop owners who have defied the directive by their mother group, the Ghana Union of Traders Association. He and other shop owners here prefer a dialogue between the leadership of the associations and government aimed at easing their plight.
Some of people go take a loan. People, they are still in their home. You know, bank people, they are still counting the date. So, better thing I want to tell Guta is you should sit down with the government. They talk whatever government they negotiate, they do. Then they will know how to dollar rate matter. Because, you know, because of you go strike, the dollar will count down. Because always going out.
The traders say the harsh economic situation is adversely affecting their businesses and depleting their capital and profit margins. Henry Kwesi Bedu, Metro News, Abossey-Okai.
So while some are sharing in the concerns of Guta, others in the business also contend closure of shops is not the best way to go. General Secretary of Traders Advocacy Group Ghana called on their members to keep their shops open. Also, government spokesperson Eric Amoah-Kuchum offers other ways Guta's grievances could appropriately be handled.
Press conference we came up with on last Monday is to direct our members to keep their shop open, keep wearing their red bands, and put some red banners in front of their shops, continue their looter, but at the same time, our core mandate is to do business, to open their shops and do business whilst we fight. Definitely, the system is not in favor of trading or businesses, but we are still in. No matter what, we still need to work around the clock and still keep ourselves in business. The question you just posed is such that somebody somewhere could give us money to revamp our businesses. It's not like that. The way things are going is of clear terms that a lot of businesses are going to collapse. Some will also emerge. That is how the system has been running ever since. But we are with the view that closing the shops is not the end solution to these calls that we are calling at the managers of the.
Apparently, they also have issues with the implementation of a new tax rate and all that. But I believe that these are things that can be discussed. I mean, you can find a middle ground once you sit around the table and dialogue so that we can find solutions to these things. One of the things that I know is that every decision that's taken by government has repercussions and has implications. For example, when government started Guta and decided to reduce the benchmark values by 50% and 30% for vehicles, AGI were unhappy about it because they felt that then there was no coherence in the policy that was being activated by government. So regardless of what decision that you take as a government, you definitely have certain group of persons who would be impacted negatively. And that's the reason why sometimes these decisions are supposed to be holistic in nature. I believe that all is not lost yet. We can still get around the table with GUTA to have discussions on the way forward. Of course, I mean, most of the things that they are talking about are basically public knowledge, and they have actually expressed them. And so what it means is that we would have to take these issues one by one and find solutions to that.
Right, so I've been joined on Zoom by the GUTA president, Dr. Joseph Obeng, for a conversation. Dr. Obeng, hello, welcome. Day one after the closure of shops, what's your assessment? Hello, Dr. Obeng, can you hear me? Good evening. Right, Dr. Joseph Obeng is the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association. We're trying to get him on Zoom to speak to us. Dr. Joseph Obeng, I understand you're back on the line. Good evening, welcome if you can hear me.
Good evening, sir.
Right, good to have you on the show. What's your assessment of day one of your shop closures?
Yeah, you were at the business centers, and so you can make your own observations. I think that we had about 93% sources of the closure. In fact, this closure did not come from the leadership. It's the people themselves who came out that they want their shops to be closed. And we have granted them. And so whatever you saw is the true reflection of the people's protest of the hardship that we are going through.
Right.
Yeah.
Doc, Traders Advocacy Group Ghana called on its members to disregard your call to close down their shops. We've also encountered some traders who claimed to be members of GUTA having their shops open. Would this divergence be considered by your outfit as a clear indication to take a second look at your approach?
I don't know what you are talking about. We, GUTA, our front is not broken. That association that you called is not part of GUTA, and they cannot be part of GUTA. So whatever they want to please themselves is up to them. We are in a plural state, isn't it? And so if we have decided on this, our members want to close their shop, they close it.
Right. Dr. Joseph Obeng, thank you very much for your time tonight. He's the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association. Now, an economist, Daniel Enim, explains that the economy will take a hit following the decision by GUTA members to go on strike.
The economy is largely dependent on the informal sector. By that, I'm referring to the traders. And they're closing their shops for the day. What it means is that a certain amount of revenue is lost to government. You know, some of them even pay their dues on the daily basis. You know, so that is one aspect of the equation. Revenue generation in respect of what government will get from them in the form of taxation will be lost. Coming from the perspective that those who may be selling, those who may be outside the realm of GUTA and then other trade organizations, or people selling by the street could take advantage. So for instance, I go to the market, shops are closed, and then woman A is selling same product, probably take advantage to increase the price. I have no choice than to buy it at that very high price, and that is inflation. So, and then we have a certain culture within our economy. Once prices of goods and services is increased and get to a certain stage, and that becomes the norm. So if people take advantage of the situation and increase price and get to that level, that norm, and it stays there, and that is inflation. So what is happening now is not anything that should be taken lightly. It's something that the managers of the economy are stepping quickly to ensure that they arrive at a very amicable solution with the trade unions, so as not to have any significant ripple effect on our domestic.
Now, the Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Quartey has clarified that the ongoing decongestion exercises in the capital have not been halted, but rather in phases. According to the minister, no one with an illegal structure on the Ramsar side will be spared.
The decongestion exercise, which started on Wednesday, October 19, on the Sakumo Ramsar site, brought together personnel from Ghana Security Services, members of the Tema West Assembly, and the Regional Coordinating Council. Earlier, the exercise was brought to an abrupt halt until the arrival of the regional minister, Henry Quartey. According to him, this exercise is to ward off encroachers and not to victimize anyone.
As we speak, we are reliably informed that well over 2,500 acres of government land have been encroached upon with impunity. They are built. As if that is not enough. Currently, as we speak, I'm sure you've been to the site. You have seen that people overnight, they fill the core area of the Ramsar, the lagoon. About a week ago, incidents that took place around Weja, where people's houses were virtually submerged in water. It is said that prevention is better than cure. This exercise is not in any way, shape, or form to victimize anybody.
Henry Quartey also debunked claims of political interference, marring the progress of the decongestion exercise.
I don't think there's any order from above that I know of. They are going back to continue, so I don't know who is saying order from above. And please, there is no order from above. They are working in phases. The first phase is to remove fence wall that have been erected in the waterway. They will do that. Then the second phase is to identify buildings that are still seated in the waterway. Then engagements will be done, and then those ones are also removed. So there is no order from above, please. The work continues.
The security personnel present subsequently continued to the site to pull down all fence walls located on waterways and in the core area of the site.
Other stories, as Supreme Court nominee Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu Asiedu is advocating for pro bono services by lawyers to be made compulsory requirement for renewal of licenses of lawyers at the Ghana Bar Association. This was after Madina MP Francis Sosu asked for his opinion on the matter.
Two of President Akufo-Addo's Supreme Court nominees today appear before the Appointment Committee of Parliament, chaired by First Deputy Speaker Joe Osei-Wusu for vetting. First was Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu Asiedu. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu was quick to ask the nominee about his view on recent judgments from the Supreme Court on the standing orders of Parliament and whether it can interfere in the affairs of Parliament. Justice Asiedu said the Supreme Court by law has the power to interpret the Constitution, including laws that affect Parliament.
If it is a pronouncement by the Supreme Court, then that is the position of the law. And I cannot sit here and pretend to review the judgment of the Supreme Court. I can't do that.
Subject to the provision of this Constitution, Parliament may, by standing orders, regulate its own procedure. What's your understanding of this provision in the Constitution vis-a-vis the comment you just made? Thank you, Chair.
Now, what that provision means is that if, in fact, and generally speaking, Parliament is a master of its own procedure. However, if there is something under the Constitution, if there is a provision under the Constitution which does not permit that mastery, then, notwithstanding the fact that Parliament is a master of its own procedure, Parliament shall submit or shall be subservient to that provision in the Constitution.
The nominee was asked to explain what he will do if his fate conflicts with the laws of Ghana. Justice Adibu Asiedu said he is in court to administer laws as a judge, not his fate. He added that his judicial philosophy is to bear the true faith and allegiance to the Constitution.
as far as his work as a judge is concerned, it is the law that takes precedence.
And then you go home and sleep with the faith and your God.
Well, because you are not, thank you in a way, you are not in a court to administer your faith. You are there to administer justice, and the roadway is the law.
Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu Asiedu also wants pro bono services by lawyers to be made compulsory requirement for the renewal of licenses of lawyers at the Ghana Bar Association.
Legal aid or pro bono services should be considered as part of requirement for renewal of solicitors' licenses annually as a way of compelling every lawyer to do at least some pro bono cases in every year.
That yes, I share the same view, and I also recognize the pro bono service which you yourself have rendered over the years.
Let's have a conversation on the back of this, and I've been joined by the PRO of the Ghana Bar Association, lawyer Xavier Kudze. Lawyer, good evening. Welcome to the show. So what's your opinion on making pro bono a compulsory requirement?
I don't think I disagree with that. I disagree with that in the sense that pro bono services are supposed to be voluntary. I am wondering how we're going to make something that is voluntary mandatory. Because if you're making it mandatory, it becomes the opposite of voluntary. For pro bono services are for the public good. We are all for it, and we are already doing it. But to make it a requirement for renewing solicitor's license, I disagree with that. This matter came out sometime last 2 weeks, and I was on a sister TV station. The question I posed is this, or was this: if we are to make pro bono services as a requirement for practicing license, how do you treat lawyers in corporate institutions who have a contract with their institutions only to work for those institutions? That will create a problem. The only way we can make it work is for us to go to conference, for every lawyer or majority of lawyers to vote to say that we have all agreed to make it compulsory as a requirement for renewing our practicing licenses. Other than that, I don't think that it is the proper thing to do to say that something that is supposed to be voluntary, you want to make it compulsory. Right. How would that happen?
Lawyer Kudze, at this point, what will the GBA members lose if the pro bono is made compulsory for license renewal?
Understand me, I am not saying that it is not possible, but what I'm saying is that it is the individual's right to do a voluntary work. It is free will. How then do you compel somebody to do that? You can only do that in agreement with the person. That is why I said, if that is the way we should go, the only way we can do it is to go to conference for a resolution to be passed. That the fact that from now onwards, or from that date onwards, pro bono services which are supposed to be voluntary are going to be compulsory.
Right, but as it stands now,
we cannot sit down as GBA executives and say that we're going to make it compulsory, something that is supposed to be voluntary. How do you compel somebody to do something that he's supposed to be willingly do?
Right. That means as it stands now, the Ghana Bar Association is against making pro bono compulsory, correct?
Yes, because you're already doing pro bono a lot more. You see, the problem comes from this. People are relying on the scanty data from the Legal Aid Commission. Only a few lawyers go there to take cases. Many more lawyers are doing things free. Free. Even if I give a client a court process to go and file, I have done free service because the filing fee is not supposed to be for me. It's meant for the court. Once I haven't charged you, I have done free work. And many more lawyers are even undercharging because we have a scale of fees. A lot of lawyers are undercharging because many people cannot even afford that. So let us look at it. Yes, make it compulsory. I am saying it is not far-fetched. It's a good proposal, but we can't compel anybody without the individuals agreeing that they have agreed to make it compulsory. No.
Right. Lawyer Kudze, thank you very much for your time this evening. He is the PRO of the Ghana Bar Association. Two other stories tonight, as the Chief Executive Officer of Consumer Protection Agency, Kofi Kapito, has been issued An arrest following his absence in court over allegations of unlawful acquisition. This order was given on Wednesday, October 19, 2022, by an Accra Circuit Court.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Consumer Protection Agency was expected to be in court on Wednesday, October 19 for hearing. When the case was called, the accused, Kofi Kapito, was absent in court. To this, the court, presided over by Christiana Khan, ordered that the accused, Kofi Owusu-Hene, alias Kofi Kapito, be arrested over his failure to show up in court. Kofi Kapito is standing trial for deprivation of the use of the property of a deceased person, engaging in domestic violence with economic abuse, and causing unlawful damage.
Need to make an urgent call, but you realize you don't have credit, or your very important conversation was cut short because you ran out of airtime? Well, there is no need for all that stress, because all you have to do on MTN is dial *506# and you get to borrow credit on MTN Extra Time. The best part is you can borrow or bundle data by dialing the same number, *506#, whenever you run out of data to continue browsing as always. Your conversations don't need to end. Borrow extra time now and enjoy the things you love on your favorite network, MTN. Here's what's coming up after the break.
Chair, I cannot critique, as I'm sitting here, a decision of the Supreme Court. There is the jurisdiction.
Termination of appointment of the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Opoku Amankwa. This termination of appointment do not sit well with the leadership and the entirety of the labor unions within pre-tertiary education.
Welcome back. President of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, Eric Kabonu, says reasons for the termination of the appointment of the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Opoku Amankwa, are not tenable.
Foremost of all is the termination of appointment of the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Opoku Amankwa. This termination of appointment do not sit well with the leadership and the entirety of the labor unions within pre-tertiary education. Professor Opoku Amankwa has had a very positive relationship with the leadership of the unions. In fact, we are just almost concluding discussions on very relevant and important aspects of our scheme of service, notably promotions, upgrading, allowances, and so on and so forth. And Friday, the day after tomorrow, is the day that we've set up to finalize these discussions so that we can incorporate aspects of these discussions into our collective agreement, which expires at the end of 2022. It is our view that the reasons given for the termination of appointment of Professor Opoku Amankwa are not tenable. For example, Professor Opoku Amankwa was not seconded by the University, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, to the Ghana Education Service. Upon his appointment as Director General by the President of the State, Professor Opoku Amankwa sought leave from his university to serve in the capacity so appointed. Secondly, the universities do not work under the Public Services Commission, and that clause about the secondment not exceeding 2 years does not apply to somebody who came from the university, since the universities do not operate based on the Public Services Commission's document.
If
Proudly brought to you by Reflow's sanitary pad and baby pull-up diaper and Givers Floor and WC Cleaners.
What happens when a pregnant woman is diagnosed with breast cancer? Well, according to the gynecologist on the 11-member Chinese medical team at the LECMA Hospital, a fetus can grow healthily once a specialist is consulted and treatment offered appropriately. Dr. Wu Shuyan has been speaking exclusively to Metro News.
Breast cancer can occur in 1 out of 3,000 pregnant women. This is referred to as pregnancy-associated breast cancer, PABC, or gestational breast cancer. Obstetricians say there have been an increase in number of such cases to 3% in the recent decades. This, they say, may be due to delay in childbearing for a variety of reasons, including cultural and educational. It also suggests that either the breast masses were not clinically recognized or that follow-up was delayed. Dr. Wu Shuyan is an obstetrician gynecologist with the Chinese medical team at the LECMA Hospital. She has been speaking exclusively to Metro News.
All the women, especially the pregnant women, we need to check your breast every day. If you find any problem, you need to go to see the doctor and then do more examination and find what exactly the problem for.
However, many masses discovered during pregnancy and lactation are attributed to physiological changes and likely to be discounted by the patient. Dr. Shuyan advises immediate expert attention.
You need to go to see the specialist for the breast cancer. They will give them advice. After they control the disease, after they control the cancer, they can have pregnancy. Yes. Especially they need to have the chemotherapies. Before the chemotherapy, sometimes the women need to protect their ovarian so they can have the baby after that.
Experts say it is generally safe to have surgery for breast cancer while pregnant, but could there be any risk?
We can continue the pregnancy. Yes, because the chemical therapy, some medicine is no harm for the baby during the pregnancy. So they can, after the surgeons, they also can do the chemical therapies. So they can also control the cancer, control the disease, and also have a healthy baby.
According to Dr. Wu Shuyan, a nursing mother who once had breast cancer may be able to breastfeed her baby on the breast which was not affected. Else, there are other available ways to breastfeed.
Let's now bring you our 3 facts about the World Cup. Fact number 1, India bailed on the World Cup because they couldn't play barefoot. India qualified to play in the 1950 World Cup finals but opted out of the tournament. This was because the team were not allowed to play barefoot, which was the only way they had practiced at that point. Now, fact number 2, only 8 countries have won the World Cup. To date, only 8 countries have ever won the World Cup, though there have been 20 tournaments. These victorious countries are from Europe or South America, namely Brazil, Germany, Italy, Argentina, Uruguay, France, England, and Spain. Fact number 3, Pele has the most World Cup championship wins. Famed soccer player Pele, voted the 20th century's best soccer player, has the most World Cup championship medals hanging around his neck. We're back with the latest in business with Winston Taki.
Good evening, welcome back to Newsnight Live on Metro TV. My name is Winston Taki. And now to a first business story. The Ghana Revenue Authority has announced that the revenue from e-levy as of September 2022 amounted to 328 million Ghana cedis. It was reduced to 1.5% following protests from various stakeholders. According to the Deputy Finance Minister, the tax policy will go under review in order to achieve its targeted purpose.
E-levy will continue to be part of our revenue handles in our country. We haven't started on a good note as we expected. But I particularly am very hopeful about what e-levy will do for the economy of our country. We just have to keep improving on the processes and making the necessary reviews to achieve the impact. Well, where we are now, there will be no solution without tightening our belt, because we are in tight situation. And the only way you stop digging when you are in a hole, the only way you stop going deeper when you are in a hole is to stop digging. And once you're stopping or cutting down your expenditures, obviously, we are going to be faced with some difficult situations. So we must all live up to that reality that we are not in normal times.
Now, latest data from the Ghana Statistical Service has revealed that wholesale prices of goods and services increased by 46.5% as of September 2022. The producer price inflation measures the average change over time in the prices received by domestic producers for the production of their goods and services.
The producer price index for the month of September 2022 stood at provisionally 163.3 relative to August 2022 152.3, and using the same series September 2021 a producer price index of 110.1. Given these producer price indices, the year-on-year producer inflation, that is prices from the factory gate perspective for all goods and services for the month of September 2022 stood at 45.5%. This literally means that averagely general prices of goods and services from the producer's perspective, from the firm's perspective, have gone up by 45.5 between the months of September 2021 and September 2022. On a month-on-month basis, with the respective indices, provisional September 2022 160.3, August 2022 152.3, monthly change between August 2022 and September 2022 was 5.2%. From the factory perspective, from the producer's perspective, between August 2022 and September 2022, generally prices of goods and services went up by 5.2%.
Now, the rise in inflation will continue to pose an upside risk to yields on treasury bills and other short-term securities. This is according to the report by Data Bank Research. That'll be all for business here on Newsnight. My name is Winston Taki. Sports will be back after this break.
It's 46 past 19 hours GMT in the Ghanaian capital, Accra. My name is Phil John Quarter, and it's time for sports. Premier club Accra has to focus appointed Serbian trainer 46 Slavia Matic as their new coach, replacing Samuel Wildu, whose appointment was terminated some weeks ago.
It is important for us to know that the board has a responsibility with management to manage this club in pursuit of our laudable vision. And of course, our fans have a responsibility to mobilize, to support the board and the management, and therefore the club, as we pursue our objectives for the club and of course for the benefit of all stakeholders. I want to introduce to you our new coach, please. Mr. Slavko Matic. Who came to us highly recommended by our contacts in the Common Value Club Alliance. I want to urge you all to support him. Supporting him is supporting Accra Suffolk, but even more importantly,
Well, away from football, let's focus on tennis because the Ghana Tennis Federation has held its first ever awards night as part of activities marking the International Tennis Federation annual meeting held here in Accra.
The chairman of the McDan Group of Companies, Dr. Daniel Macaulay, and other 12 personalities have earned recognition from the International Tennis Federation, ITF, and its continental body, the Confederation of Africa Tennis, CAT. At a special gala, dinner, and awards night in the nation's capital, Accra, they were honored for their contribution and support for the development and promotion of tennis in Ghana. The event served as a prelude to the CAT Annual General Meeting, AGM, held on last Saturday. President of ITF, David Hakti, who was visiting West Africa for the first time, was the guest of honor for the occasion. He was accompanied by the president of CAT, Tariq Sharif, and ITF Executive Director, Luca Santilli. The awards night, the first of its kind in the Ghanaian tennis community, acknowledged the support and contributions of key individuals and institutions who have aided in the development of tennis in Ghana. Daniel Macaulay was honored by the ITF, CAT, and GTF for his sterling role in the development of the sports in Ghana and West Africa.
My heart goes out for those who are there to give us the moral support, the spiritual support, and the applaud. And we are ready to do all. We have to thank God for this meeting, and I humbly plea and I call for corporate Ghana to come to the aid of tennis. That if tennis in Ghana should have more sports, the game will really reach the pedestal.
Other recipients on the night were Mr. Isaac Owusu of Western Group of Companies, Asamoah Gyan Foundation, and Amwaku Buafo for sponsorship, Roger Crawford for tournament organization, Isaac Donko for coaching and education, tennis legend Frank Ofori for career achievement and coaching, and Peter Annan for coaching and tournament organization. Coach Godi for coaching and equipment, Hajia Zinabu Suleimana for career as the first certified female coach, and Noah Bagabasi for leadership and coaching. The GTF also presented a special award to Hakti and Tariq Sharif, as well as ITF Development Officer Amin Ben Maklouf for their pivotal contributions towards the sustainable development of tennis on the continent. CAT wrapped up the evening with 3 awards to GTF and 8 partners, including Accra City Hotel, for hosting the 2022 CAT AGM.
Well, that's your sports. My name is Phil John Quarter. Up next, entertainment.
It's now time for entertainment. Now, DJs play a pivotal role in making a song a hit. Yet, there have been complaints from some artists who say some DJs sabotage their songs by refusing to play them. DJ Mercury believes artists who make such comments are ungrateful.
It will definitely be out of place, and if you ask me, very ungrateful of any artist to talk about the DJ being an impediment to their growth. We all know the role that the DJ plays. You know, it's sort of a loop. You have the people who produce the music, where you have the artists, and we have the people who interface with the music consumers. The music consumers are the fans. Like just a while ago, you just played DJ Abege's video, and there are people consuming that. He wasn't playing air. He was playing Akateche or Doi Sisime. So whilst he does that, he is promoting Akateche. So how can Akateche come back and say the DJ is not promoting them? We've seen a lot of acts. If you look back into time, look even recently, we have the likes of Black Hole, you have Kwesi Arthur, you have Jackie. It is DJs who are promoting the works of these amazing acts. A couple of people have argued that, oh, TikTok is doing, some, promotion for these DJs. But let's think about it. You have, this weekend, you have a lot of weddings. On Metro TV, you have the video mix show. At the pubs, you have all the events. And the DJs are the forefront of all these events. So you can imagine, let them have the fun on TikTok. But if the song doesn't play at the parties, if it doesn't play on the radio, how does it get to the people?
Now to some more news, despite rumors about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's show Netflix being delayed or possibly cancelled, it has been finally confirmed to air by the end of this year. The Duke of Sussex and Duchess of Sussex much-awaited Netflix docuseries will air this year and is scheduled for a December release. According to a Deadline article published, the show has been delayed due to criticism of the upcoming season of the popular Netflix series The Crown. Nevertheless, informed that the show will continue and that any problem with Prince Harry and Meghan's documentary have nothing to do with the 5th season of The Crown. In September 2020, Prince Harry and Meghan made a stunning move by signing a multi-year deal with Netflix to produce content with a media production. The original deal noted that they would create an array of content, including documentaries, docuseries, movies, scripted shows, and children's content. Well, that's it for entertainment news on Newsnight. My name is Harrietta D. Ken.
Thank you, Harriet. International news is next. Malawian police are investigating the deaths of 10 people thought to be migrants following the discovery of their bodies in a forest reserve in the northern part of the country. A district police spokesman said the discovery was made today and that it is likely more bodies will be found. Britain's Suella Braverman quits as Home Secretary, saying she has to go after she breached government rules, but that she has concerns over the direction of Prime Minister Liz Truss's government. A teachers' union has alleged a 15-year-old girl has died in northwest Iran after she was beaten by security forces during a raid on her school. A statement posted by the Coordinating Council of Teachers Syndicates says Asra Panahi was one of several students injured in the incident. That's it for now, but before we go, a look again at our top stories. First day of protest by Ghana Union of Traders Association against high cost of doing business, characterized by closure of shops, hits hard. But government and other traders have said the measure isn't the way to go. I spoke with leadership of GUTA. Phase 1 of demolition exercise at the Sakumono Ramsar site ends successfully despite an initial hiccup. Supreme Court Judge nominee Justice Samuel Asiedu proposes pro bono services by lawyers be made compulsory requirement for the renewal of licenses of lawyers at the Ghana Bar Association. And later, we took you to the UK, where Suella Braverman resigns as the country's Home Secretary barely a week after the country's Finance Minister Kwesi Kwarteng was sacked. Of the show tonight, my name is Kenneth. Jesse, have a good night.